Hi guys, it's Alexandra and Mr. James Coburn from Gallery Group. Back, welcome to On the Couch with ASR, and we are talking co-living.
We are.
So, James, you've been with Gallery...
Coming up to 9 months. Yeah.
Coming up to 9 months.
Yeah.
And the co-living homes kind of has been one of the preferred property types, right, for your key sales partners?
Definitely, and one of the decisions why I joined Gallery Group actually was the innovation around what we're doing within our product base, and particularly co-living.
Yeah.
So it's a great product. It's probably my highest selling product for the price point that we're looking at. Obviously, we have clients that are moving into dual keys, which are starting more around the $850,000 to $1 million mark, or special disability accommodation, which is starting well over $1 million. But for that price point and people who are savvy around yields, $750,000 to $850,000, with yields ranging from 5.7% up to 6.4% gross yields. So for the savvy investor, it should be their first choice always.
Right. Our co-living display out at Logan, I know that you utilise it as a...
second office.
What is it about getting somebody through the display that's been so critical for people understanding this property type?
It's the touch and feel of anything. So to be able to walk around that space and see the height of the ceilings, see how the individual rooms operate with the mirrored robes, the en-suites, the spaciousness of the furniture that we have in there, the LCD screen, the lockable rooms for security and safety, offers our referral partners a really good perspective of what they're selling to their clients.
It's funny how many people come out there and have like, oh, right, this is how it works now, I get it. Yeah.
I could live here. So that sort of surprise is what we're looking for, and what we would need to be entering into the market for our referral partners.
And I know one of the key questions that we get asked is, who are the tenants and why do they live in a co-living home?
So our tenants that we manage and that we do scrutinise, they go through a very thorough screening process for the value within the home, the harmony within the home, but also for our investors. These are people who are working full-time, but unfortunately can't afford their own home themselves. They're often saving for their own home, so they're working full-time in a full-time capacity on a salary, which is typically a minimum of $65,000 per year. No pets, no kids, so we are very particular, and they go through a psychological assessment as well, using our DISC profiling to create that harmony in the house. But they are of the majority of what we're seeing in Southeast Queensland in the rental crisis. They are ambitious, young individuals who can't find a home, unfortunately.
And it's quite extraordinary, right? Because you have said $65,000 per year income. If that is what somebody's earning, and to stay outside of what we consider rent duress, you shouldn't be spending more than a third of your take-home income on your rent, which actually does put you around that $320, $330 per week. And I think what's been interesting is when we've had either the investors themselves or our key sales partners and going, but why would they choose a co-living home? And it's like, well, when was the last time you went onto REA and looked in a location? And we see it all the time for the Northern Gold Coast, because, you know, we've currently got a co-living tenancy wait list of 42 people looking for Northern Gold Coast who are prepared to pay $350 to $360 per week. But if you go onto REA and try and find a one-bedroom or a studio in that location, there is zero available at that price point, which means people are having to go further afield, which means you commute to work longer, so therefore your petrol costs are more, or you have to pay more, and you're either going into something that is not where you want to be. It's not ideal. And not everybody wants to live in an apartment, right?
No, and no one wants to live in someone's garage, which is what we're seeing a lot of at the moment in the marketplace. And it's not getting any better. So the flip side of the coin is that it's a solution for this rental crisis, which means these investors, not only are they getting high yields, but they're also, there's an ethical element and a moral element to resolving a true crisis that we're seeing in Southeast Queensland.
And you just mentioned the word "this crisis." Do you think there is an end to it? Do you think there is a government-backed solution for it?
Oh, look, the government-backed solution is exactly what they're trying at the moment, which is multiple solutions, which we haven't seen resolve anything currently. So we can only hope that there is a resolution coming, but it's not going to come for the next 5 years. Anyone in Australia or even Southeast Asia wants to live in Southeast Queensland.
Yes.
So between immigration, but also interstate migration,
Yeah.
I don't see an end to it in the next 5, maybe even 10 years.
Yeah. And it's funny because if I think about what was happening in the market during COVID, right? Like when the first shutdowns came in and people couldn't move around and they were putting, moratoriums on not being able to throw people out, and they were even, I was in Sydney at the time and they were talking about the student accommodation around the universities in Sydney, like at University of New South Wales, and they were talking about all these investors that had empty apartments. And then they opened, the borders, and then, they opened the international borders and all the international students came back. And then we saw another type of rental crisis coming into that market where they were going, well, there's nowhere for them to go. And it's like, well, what happened to all the empty student accommodation apartments? Well, they'd been absorbed into the property market. It's not like these properties just sit empty, right? If the population continues to grow, there's more burden on the property market full time. So even if there is something that comes from the government, it's not going to come in a timely fashion. And what the crisis will look like in 5 years' time, like how much bigger the problem is, it's kind of hard to imagine.
Yes, there isn't a solution, I don't think, but co-living is a benefit that we can look at as a part solution. So we do need these investors to help with that rental crisis solution, but also they don't have much of a choice.
Yes.
As an investor, where they can look at a moral and ethical investment, but also look at good returns.
Yes.
And legislation will continue to change and evolve, and I believe around rooming accommodation, boarding accommodation, but those sorts of investments are moving into a commercial realm rather than what we are looking at, and particularly our referral partners, are residential investors.
Yes.
So if you're looking at a price point and a residential investment, Gallery Group's co-living solution is your only choice.